Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey. And we are the Mark Out Movie Podcasters. And what are we doing today, Aaron?
We are going to be reviewing, we're doing versus mode. Hocus Pocus from 1993 versus Hocus Pocus 2 from 2022. 30 years, about 30 years later, is it? I don't know.
29 to be exact.
29. It's getting there. So we're going to be doing that, discussing the differences, the things we like, things we didn't like, and the fun that is the Halloween season. Officially kicking off with Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2 for us. Well, Brandon, he has been watching other Halloween stuff. But before we get to that, that's a good segue to what we watched, which is a segment in which, for those that don't know or not familiar, what we watch is a quick little brief segment where we talk about films that we watched this week leading up to the podcast. And Brandon, I'm gonna let you kick it off with what you watched.
Yeah, because I got nothing new. I went and seen Barbarian again yesterday just to watch it again. I have some issues with it.
Okay.
But I still feel it's a very entertaining movie. I still feel when Justin Long comes on the scene that it's a shift in more. I don't want to say lighthearted horror, but he's fun. He makes the movie fun. So it just felt like three different movies mashed into one. I don't know. I kind of have an issue with that, but I still feel it's a very entertaining movie. So that's the only thing I saw in theaters. The only other movie I can mention that I saw for the very first time was The Last House on the Left, and I will never watch it again. Not because I think it's bad. 1972. It's not bad. I think Wes Craven was so far ahead of his time. It's ridiculous how good he was. But I will never watch that movie again.
It felt almost voyeuristic and like something that you shouldn't be watching.
Yeah. Like I watched the remake when it was made in 2008, 9, whatever, and it felt like a movie. This felt like a snuff film. It felt like I was there watching it as it was happening, and I'm not a fan of that kind of style, but man, he was ahead of his time. What did you watch?
I watched. Let's see. I went to see Smile in theaters, and I famously did not like the movie. I don't say famously. I'm not famous, but Brandon knows that I did not like the movie. I felt that it was. I felt like it tried to be. I felt like it tried to be It Follows, but just couldn't keep up with that type of film. I think that it does have smart things, but ultimately, I thought that it fell flat for me. I just wasn't. Now the lead in it was still pretty good. I thought they could have made it a lot more scarier. They could have done a lot more with it. They even play with us, the audience, without them knowing it, like how Hereditary does, or a good example of is House Haunting of Hill House. How that, like, in the background you can see like ghosts and stuff. I think it'd been kind of cool that in this you'll see like maybe stuff that you see that other people don't see. I think that would be kind of creepy, add to it, but I felt like it just fell a little flat for me. So on Letterboxd, I gave it 2 stars. Markouts, it'd be the same on the markout meter for me. And then I did watch Blonde, which is a Netflix. Before I talk about Blonde, I watched End of the Road, starring Queen Latifah and Ludacris. It's a movie about brother and sister and Queen Latifah's kids after the death of her husband through like illness. Decides to move her family along with her brother Ludacris to Arizona. So they got to go from California to Arizona on the road trip, and uh, they encounter not only prejudice and just being in a different world, different vibe, but also encounter um, like they pretty much witness a murder and have to deal with the repercussions of that. I thought that I thought it was very predictable. That's where the vibe I got was very predictable. It had some good little sequences in it, but ultimately I just felt it was very predictable. And so I didn't rate it on Letterboxd yet, but my rating on Letterboxd will probably be about a two as well. Um, Queen Latifah kind of holds it. Ludacris is more annoying than anything, and I hate to say that, but it's true. I just don't find him a really good actor. Actually, it's me personally. No
Yeah.
offense to Luda, but and then let's see. The last film I watched um, was Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe
Yeah.
movie, which is very controversial. Um, I liked it. I know that a lot of people didn't like it because it plays with, it deals with a lot of stuff. But I felt it was very engaging. Like I couldn't look away. Like and visually, it was like it's done by the same guy that did that movie, um, the coward that shot Jesse James or whatever that movie was with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
It's that same person that did that, which I like that movie. I like that movie. I don't know if
I did.
anybody else did, but
I
I
did.
really enjoyed it. So in that case, you might not like this but what he does a lot of different things, like changing aspect ratios, changing from black and white to color. It shows some graphic things, which ultimately I believe that old Hollywood did do that, like with the casting couches and um, different things
Yeah.
that was like very, very, very raunchy and wrong. And I think the lady that played Marilyn Monroe looked like her, and I thought she did a really great. I think she really did a really good job.
I like
I
her.
would say I think she could possibly be nominated for an Academy Award. Now, you say that you think Viola Davis has it in the bag, which she could. I haven't seen
I
that
mean,
film yet,
from what I've
but
seen, yeah. I'm only judging for
yeah,
what I've seen. I'm not judging on anything else.
yeah. But so that's what I've really watched. I started watching. I finished Ghost, the British show, and the American version. I watched both of those, and now I'm watching Abbott Elementary, and also I restarted, not restarted, but picked back up on Walking Dead. No spoilers, guys. I have not seen it, so that's all I've watched. Other than what we're about to review now, which is a versus mode of anything that I mentioned that you wanted to watch or plan on watching.
I think I'll probably watch Blonde when I do get Netflix again. I want to see it. I like the actress. I thought she did a movie with Keanu Reeves, Knock Knock. I think that's what it's called.
I
It's
remember that
it's a
movie.
bad movie, but I loved it. So it was the most Nick Cage thing I've ever seen that didn't star Nick Cage.
Yeah.
So I've seen her in a couple other things too. I've always enjoyed her presence. She was in a Bond movie, I believe, the last one. I think she kind of pops in, kind of leaves. I just like her, and so she was my selling point for watching this. I think this is like the second Marilyn Monroe adaptation biopic in like last 4 or 5 years. I think Michelle
Mhm.
Williams played her once before, but I hadn't seen it, so this would be my first time watching. I don't know. I'm more curious about who the real Marilyn Monroe was and
Mhm.
not who she's perceived to be. So but nothing else that really popped out that you said you watched. Maybe the Queen Latifah I would watch, but I didn't even know it existed. So
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So now we're going to get into Hocus Pocus. Let's see. Give me a moment. Let's see. Hocus Pocus. I'm going to try to pull up what IMDb says about Hocus Pocus. By the way, let me ask you this while I'm pulling this up. Before we get to Hocus Pocus, Brandon, have you seen the trailer for Wakanda Forever?
Like the first trailer.
The new one.
No, no, I haven't seen
Um,
it.
okay. Well, eventually I love to maybe do a reaction to it. And then Will Smith has a new trailer out also,
I hadn't seen that either.
Emancipation. Um,
Heard about it,
but
but I hadn't seen it.
Hocus Pocus, we're into it. So the first one, this is the synopsis. A curious youngster moves to Salem, where he struggles to fit in before awakening a trio of diabolical witches that were executed in the 17th century. First film stars Bette Midler as Winifred, Sarah Jessica Parker as Sarah, and Kathy Najimy as Mary, Omri Katz as Max, uh, Thor Birch as Danny, and Vanessa Shaw as Allison, and a host of other people as well. Doug Jones is Billy Butcherson, who's a famous uh, actor. He's always really great in makeup in other roles he played in. Um, he he also played in. I'm going to mention Doug Jones a lot because I think that he's a tremendous actor, and he doesn't get the love that he deserves. Um, but yeah, that's the first one, and then the second one. Just to give you a quick little synopsis, because this is versus mode, so they're going to go head to head in this. Um, young women, two young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. This one again, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, they will all return. Joining the cast this time around is Whitney Peak as Becca, Melissa Escobedo as Izzy, and Lilia Buckingham as Cassie, and Sam Richardson as Gilbert. There's other people, but also Doug Jones is also in this one as well. Do you have the numbers for both of these films?
Yeah, I got the numbers. Give me a second. Okay, the
Okay.
first one got a 6.9 out of 10. It's got an 87% on Google, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, with an audience score of 71.
Really?
Yes, and I
I'm
would
so
think it would have
surprised.
been more loved, you know, because it's like this classic. As far as part two, it's got a 62% on the tomato meter and a 54% audience score. So the audience is may basically split. And I don't have the numbers as far as Google or anything for the sequel. But yeah,
Oh
it's
wow. Wow.
so the critics actually like the sequel better, but the audience likes the original better, which is what I would expect.
Well, Hocus Pocus. So the first one, uh, we what I liked about the first one is first of all the young cast, Max, Danny, and Allison. Um, I thought that they were very engaging and kept you interested in the film. Or in them, you know, you kind of are drawn to them. Um,
Yeah,
and I loved that that this just was more compelling versus in the remake, or not remake, in the sequel. I felt like those girls were very forgettable, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's
in
how
your
I feel.
opinion.
Brandon.
Uh, as far as the first one, I think there was so much just was going on. I think a lot of people, you know, were drawn to Danny, which is played by Thor Birch, because a lot of people wanted her in the sequel and she wasn't able to do it. But there's just so much going on in that first movie that you just love, and it feels like Halloween, where the sequel doesn't feel like Halloween. And I'm
Mhm.
not even. I know that it is Halloween, but it just didn't feel the same. I actually didn't mind the girls in the sequel though. But I think the witches carry the movie, and that's why you're there. You're there to watch them. But I will say this though, Doug Jones. I think he's great in the first movie. I just thought in the sequel he shouldn't have been there. I'm glad he's there, but bringing his character back just didn't make sense to me. even in the prologue showing how they became witches or how they were witches back in the 1600s. The whole Billy character, I hated how it opened. So I actually thought I was going to really hate this movie
Mm.
because I just hated how it opened. Did you like the opening for the sequel,
On
or?
the sequel, so I felt like the opening for Hocus Pocus, the sequel. Um, I was wondering where they was going with it. Like it was cool seeing them younger. I think that they have something there. If they wanted to spin off a series of the young
Yeah.
Sanderson sisters, they have enough material to do that. But I think that I thought that it was it was jarring. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. I thought that it was going to pick up in modern day again. Like, well, this time around, there's no need to
Yeah.
really revisit, but they didn't. But I just felt like I don't know. I just felt like that opening, um, seeing how they became witches was okay. But as far as Billy, I thought it was just going to be a nod and that was going to be it. So I didn't mind it. But then when he shows back up, I'm like, oh, so he's in this movie. And then I wondered, why is he in the movie? Because
Yeah.
wouldn't his power wouldn't he have went away?
You would have
Uh,
thought. Yeah. It's like I
yeah,
was glad Doug Jones was back, but storyline wise, I just didn't think it really made sense for him to be back because
yeah.
the spell was broken and he would go back to rest. But he
Uh,
said he hadn't been asleep. No one put him back to sleep. But I thought since the spell got
all right.
broken,
I'm trying to cut. Let's see. Let me pause the. I'm trying to pause my. There we go. Oh, nope. There we go. I was pausing so I can see the comments on Facebook because we got comments on Facebook. Medusa, that's what Justin Long do in Jeepers Creepers. This is on my Facebook page, Brandon. If you go to our Facebook page, if there's any comments, you can read them.
okay,
That's what Justin Long do. Just Justin Long do like in Jeepers Creepers. He was too naive and adorable. Yeah. Medusa also says the horror short films on YouTube called Smile is way scarier than the movie in less time. See, I'll be interested to watch it, Medusa. I wasn't aware about it. And hey, how you doing, girl? Um, and Bobby Bunch, what's up, Aaron? Hey, Bobby, how you doing, buddy? KJ says, what's up? What up, KJ? He has a new video. Y'all should check him out. And we still gotta get together and do paintball 2. That's gotta happen. Um, so Brandon, what was your thoughts on do you feel like there's a fake out in the sequel with the cat? Did you think it's going to be Binks for some reason?
no, I didn't think it was going to be. I liked the little tease they did, but no, I didn't think that. But then again, you never know with this sequel, because you didn't expect to see Doug Jones return, but at least I didn't expect it. But no, I didn't think. I kind of wish the cat. I thought that's kind of what was missing for a lot of the new with the new film was the cat. I really liked the cat in the first movie. I thought he brought a lot of life to the film. There was a
Hmm.
lot that they did well in the first movie, though. I mean,
Yeah, I do want to say this. I think both in the original and in the sequel, I believe uh, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. I think all three of them did excellent, and they
yeah,
came and they had fun. It seemed like they had fun with the roles. They had
yeah.
fun with the characters, and they didn't really miss a beat. And so I
No,
thought that
no,
they,
they are the
yeah,
best part about the sequel, no doubt, no doubt.
but yeah, I think that they did an excellent job. Um, I do think that, like I said, I think Doug Jones did a great job as well. You said
Yeah, he
that
did
you
a good
felt
job.
like his. Do you feel like he was just wasted or not shouldn't have been there at all? Is that what
I
your
just
thoughts is?
think the storyline that he shouldn't have been there. But no, I didn't hate him or nothing in the movie. It just felt like he didn't really serve a purpose, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Compared to the first movie, he really didn't. But I don't know. There's some things I like about the sequel, and there's some things I really don't like about the
Mm.
sequel. But But
Yeah.
I don't know. But I know I saw your Letterboxd review, and you said to sum up this movie, Walgreens. And the reason I'm bringing it up because I get the feeling you didn't like the Walgreens scene. I love that
Yeah.
scene because it was like,
Really.
yeah, I loved it because to me they were fish out of the water. It would have made more sense if they would have done it in the original movie. But with today's technology, this generation, everything, it was just weird. But I had a great time with that scene. I really did. I was laughing out loud during that scene.
Really.
Not the
There's
only time I
only
laughed out loud, but
now
I
in
was.
the sequel. There's only time that I laughed out loud was as a joke when there's a joke when let's see, swipe left to reveal comments. All right. There we go. So there's a moment in the sequel where uh what Bette Midler says, Winifred says, Winnie says, spread out to look for him, and Sarah Jessica Parker starts to stretch, uh,
Yeah,
spread out like to, which I thought that was the funniest joke. I thought it actually got me like it got me a chuckle. I was like,
yeah.
that's funny, it's cute, but yeah. Um, and I was gonna ask you this: what was your thoughts on the so in this universe? Um, the first movie is actually a movie. Did that just like throw you off?
I thought at that point it was kind of meta. I didn't think it needed to be, but yeah, it threw me off a little bit. I kind of smiled though, because it's like so many characters in that original movie, whether they were leading characters or secondary or just maybe really small characters. Everyone was really good in the first movie. I thought going back rewatching, I hadn't seen this movie. I don't know how long, maybe since I was a kid. I don't
Yeah.
recall watching it recently in recent memory, but uh, I just thought everyone was so good and everyone fit their roles so well in that original movie. Like there's no flaws for me for that movie.
Right.
So seeing it's like a movie now. It was good to see, but at the same time, it's like that wasn't really necessary. Which
Yeah,
you can say a
especially
lot about in the sequel. That's not
like
necessary.
in the original 1993 the first film, you have Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall, brothers and sisters playing
Yeah,
a husband and wife, which is in itself weird. Um, if you know who they are, you know that they're siblings, and so it's weird. Uh, but uh, but it was a great little reveal of her being in films. You know, she was in Laverne and Shirley. She was a great director. So was Gary. Gary was one of the greatest romantic comedy directors of all time. So it was really cool seeing them, and seeing them in the original made me miss them. Like when I seen them on the screen, I was like, oh, I miss both of these guys. I really do. And but in the sequel, it was cool seeing that in TV, seeing them like that. But then when they also show like people dressed like them, it's Halloween. It's like it kind of threw me off. Like there's a scene where you
yeah.
quick see two people dressed like them. I'm like, what? Like, is it because it's like it's supposed to be campy? Were they trying to go for campiness?
I
You
think
know.
they were really just probably trying to pay respect to them, you know.
Hmm.
But it came off weird for me anyway. It was a weird moment in the movie. It's like you were glad you saw them, but at the same time, it's like that's not really necessary, you know.
Yeah.
Which I really feel you could say that a lot about the sequel. It wasn't necessary. Um, I do think
So,
that they made
would
this movie 20 years too late. You
mm,
know, even though I think all the actresses did great, you come on, we can they're older. I think the only one that you may not can tell is Sarah Jessica Parker. I think she just looks great. She looks amazing. I haven't seen her in anything in like 15 years. So it's like she really hasn't missed a beat. I know it's a lot of makeup on her, but still.
Yeah, I've never seen Sex in the City films and whatever. So, but yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker. I felt like so they showed her. She's a little bit more. They toned her down a bit from the first one. I
Yeah,
noticed because she was very much more promiscuous, sort of.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Where and they show more of a cleavage. This is just the honest my honest take. They show more of it in the first one, and in this one, they had a little bit more covered up. I guess because times have changed from '93 to now. And but also she wasn't as ditzy as
yeah.
she was in the first one. Um, but like I still loved hearing her say "amok, amok, amok," and that like it was fun. The one that stood out the most, I think, killed it is Kathy Najimy as Mary. I think that uh, she she destroyed her reprisal of that character. Not in a bad way. I think she nailed it. I love I love when they's like, what's your name again? And she's like, Shishka baby. I love like the callback. But I felt like that's what this movie also relied on is heavily callbacks. Do you feel like do you feel like there's a point where it's okay for like it's for fans, but then do you feel like it's too much at some points?
I know. No, I don't think it's too much like fan service. I feel like I hate to say this,
Say it.
but there really isn't a story here. There's no strong story. It's just they're back and they're seeing what's changed in the last 29 years. Um, there's a lot of
Meta
callbacks to the
jokes.
movie plot wise. They kind of do the same thing. They recycle, and so that made me really lower my score because it just wasn't a there wasn't a lot that was new to the story, and there wasn't a lot of meat to the movie. I
What's
really
another?
enjoyed the three main leads, with the originals. But you take a break from them, you don't have much of anything other than these new witches.
What's a movie that recently they made a sequel to that it's been a minute before in between the films. Not Clerks, because you said that Clerks 3 is pretty good. You said,
Yeah,
uh, but
I think it
but
was good.
I'm trying to think of a movie that recently. I knew there's one that came out recently, maybe a year or so ago. That it's been time between the filming of both of the films, and
Like what kind of
but
movie?
I'm
Like
trying to
in a
think of
scene?
one. It's like that relies heavily on nostalgia to get it through, but it kind of fell short. Or or can you think of one that did it right? In your opinion,
Well, like right now, the only thing I can think of is like Clerks 3 and Scream. Uh,
I think
but
Scream got it right. I think Scream
yeah,
got it right.
both. I think they both did a good enough job there. I love Scream, so I don't know. I can't really think of anything recently that's come out that was a sequel. Something
Well,
not
show
like
wise, I got it. I got it. Well, it's not a movie, but it's two shows that I think did a great job. Um, from the time frame from the source materials to like when they came out, and that's Cobra Kai and the Mighty Duck series on Disney Plus. I think that they did a great job as far as like first. Let's talk about Mighty Ducks real quick. It felt like a Mighty Ducks like the series. It felt like a Mighty Ducks movie, like a continuation with it, especially
yeah.
with my boy Emilio. Unfortunately, I'm not going to even discuss that, but it felt like a continuation, and I loved seeing. I was there for it. You know what I'm saying? I was totally there for it, and the callbacks worked out. I loved the callbacks. I loved the little cameos and the little things. I loved it. Same with Cobra Kai. I felt like Cobra Kai has perfectly
Yeah.
uh, has perfectly leaned into nostalgia, but then creating its own new thing. And like I can't think of a show that has done it better than Cobra Kai, honestly, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
don't think anything's done it like that. I mean, that was unexpected. I remember when I saw the first trailer to Cobra Kai, it felt like a joke. It really did. But I was still excited because, Ralph, I hadn't seen him in forever, and I hadn't seen Billy Zapka in probably since the early 90s. So I was excited for it. But yeah, that show did everything perfectly. You resurrected Johnny, you resurrected Kreese, Terry Silver, Chosen. I mean, and you gave them maybe even better storylines than the original movies. I mean, I can't say what's
Flushed
happened
them,
season 5, but
you
that
flushed them
happened.
out as characters. You flushed them
Yeah,
out, you know. But
especially
I
Kreese.
felt like I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, especially Kreese. Because he's not just this big bad villain. They gave him some structure, like just to show why he is the way he is, and
Mhm.
he's. And I'm sure they did, something with Terry Silver in season 5. I haven't seen it. I have no idea what happens, but I'm sure there's a lot of meat there. you know,
Oh, it
and I
is.
know
It's
Chosen's back, so
I think it's
and
my favorite season so far, actually, of Cobra Kai. But I think that with Hocus Pocus too, I think that it's where it failed. In I think it didn't really flesh out the characters,
yeah,
and like even the kids. I thought that the kids in the first one, their motivations made sense of why
yeah,
they did what they did. He was a skeptic. Max was a skeptic, so he didn't really believe in any of it. He's trying to impress a girl, and this foolish virgin ends up causing these sisters to come back. In this one, they were tricked by. We got to talk about it. They was tricked by Gilbert, the the great or magnificent or whatever they call himself, Sam Richardson. Uh, it just like it felt like he needed to get he he needed to get like I don't think he really got reprimanded, for his actions
yeah,
and what he did. Like I just felt like, and then the Sanderson sisters' motivation in the original was to eat the souls of the children, I guess, in
yeah,
order to live, to remain, to survive or whatever. In this one, they just wanted to take out the guy that looks like the guy that they knew back when they were younger, and then they abandoned that halfway. Like they abandoned that and was like, well, his daughter would do. It's just like it makes no sense, you know. I just felt,
yeah,
and then like they try to make them not like they try to make you to sympathize with them as villains, but I don't like that new thing. Like I can, well, I say that because I didn't watch these Marvel stuff, and I know you're gonna be like, Aaron, you hypocrite. But I like in Marvel when it comes to Marvel and these the heroes or whatever in Marvel, I felt like like Killmonger, you understand why he's the way he is.
yeah,
You understand why. Uh, I'm trying to think of a good example. Gore. You understand why he wants to kill all the gods. You understand his motivation. Um, and I think that it doesn't make you sympathize with them to a point where you make them like I can understand, but you still think they need to be defeated in somehow,
yeah.
some way. Here, like they try to make you sympathize with them. I don't know. It's weird.
They made them somewhat of the heroes a little bit. You didn't when it was time for them to go. You didn't want them to go. You wanted them to live. And yeah, I get what you're saying. They they changed it on us. And I'm thinking, is this the new trend for every genre? Because what if they do this with Michael Myers, or Ghostface, or you know, any big character in the horror genre? What if they do that? I mean, I don't know. It's just it seems like Marvel started it and other people are kind of lobbying off of it. So
Disney did that with
it was just Disney
Cruella.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it
like
worked for
Cruella.
Cruella though. Like I didn't mind
Yeah,
that, but
I like that
I
movie. I mean, was that this year or last year? Was Cruella?
last year.
Okay. But yeah, I just felt like, man, I felt like, we waited so long for, I guess some people. I'm gonna say some people. I've never really was a huge fan of Hocus Pocus. I was more
No,
of a,
I wasn't
I was
either.
more of an earnest, scared, stupid fan. It is what it is, man. I grew up watching Ernest P. Worrell, and so I was more
Yeah,
about that. You
I
know,
mean, it's got its diehard fans who've been waiting for this for 30 years, just about. I mean, that is true. They're my ex is one of them. She was a huge Hocus Pocus fan, so I never was. It's like everybody was getting excited for part two to come out, and I was like, it's just another movie to me. And you mentioned us reviewing both, and I'm like, okay. Like I didn't have a problem with it. I wasn't excited for it. I just, okay, cool. It just
yeah,
it wasn't a big deal. So if it had been a big deal, and I know some of the reactions it's gotten, I probably would be more like those people, very disappointed by the
yeah.
film they got. But since it wasn't a big deal to me, I thought the film was okay. So I mean,
Hmm.
I think it depends on how much you value it.
Well,
Maybe
I
I don't
think,
know. I mean, but
yeah,
for
I
me,
agree. I think that the original. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just thought it depends how many times you rewatched it over the years. If do you watch it every Halloween? If you don't, I don't think it's gonna bother you all that much what they did,
Yeah,
and it didn't to
with,
me.
yeah, with me, man, I didn't really like this. I was 13 when this movie initially came out, and I don't think I don't remember even watching it then. I probably watched it years later, just in passing or whatever, or maybe I seen it and I didn't even remember it. But like I said, I was more into Ernest, which was '91. Ernest Scared Stupid. I just thought it was campy but cheesy but fun because it's just like uh, Ernest P. Worrell, man. Jim Varney, just I love that guy.
Yeah,
And so I was more in. I was more on my speed. But honestly, around the same time, '93, man, I was pretty at 13. I was still pretty deep in horror, like actual horror movies. So you know, it wasn't
yeah.
like
I have a
this.
question for you though. Do you
Yeah.
feel Hocus Pocus is? I'm not trying to be sexist by this, but do you feel it's more for like? And when it came out in '93, do you think it was made mainly for the little girls and not all families? Just something for the girls to look up to. Is that a
Oh, hmm.
possibility there? Because I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it religiously. I seen it once years after it came out. And I thought it was cool. It was fine for what it was, but I was probably 17, 18 at the time, so it just never affected me like it affected so many people. So I mean,
Yeah.
kind of watching it again. Even Dawson, when he was here Saturday and watching it with me, he liked it, but I just got the feeling maybe this was maybe inspiration for the girls.
Well, I think that mainly is for like Disney wanted to make children like a children Halloween type of film because
Yeah,
this is around the same time that Disney was dark Disney when it comes to a lot of their products. Like the movies that they made were pretty on the darkest side and not really marketed. Like this is what a G movie. Like the first one was like rated G, PG. It's PG. Um, and it still has some suggestive stuff in it if you think like going back and watching it, you're like, oh wow, like somebody dressed like Madonna, and it was like
yeah,
Madonna. But um, and then like the stuff with Sarah, her like I said, her promiscuous, which in itself isn't. I'm not bashing her or anything. I think that, but it is. I think it's marketed more towards the youth, and it's a good little. would you call this would you call this a gateway film for horror, like a horror gateway to get people into horror, or would that be more like Gremlins or more like something that is that
I
like
would
a
say
modern day? I say modern day, it'd be scary stories to tell in the dark. I think that that
yeah.
is a good
No,
gateway into
I
horror.
feel this. I feel the original was just a good family Halloween movie. I wouldn't say it was a gateway to horror though. I mean, maybe a gateway to get you into Halloween the holiday.
Halloween,
Yeah,
Halloween, yeah,
but
yeah, okay.
I don't know. But rewatching, I was kind of thinking, man, this was probably huge with a lot of teenage girls at the time, and you know how they witches became a thing of fandom, and I
Hmm.
wonder how much of it has to do with the movie Hocus Pocus.
Or was it like the what's that the Covenant? No, what's that
Yeah,
one movie with the
there's one called the Covenant.
yeah, is that the one with the girls and the witches? I might be all
No,
wrong
it's
on
the
the name
craft.
of it.
The craft.
The Craft, yeah, The Craft. Um, but yeah, I think that I don't know. It could be marketing. Like I guess it could be. Like the first one was just maybe it's because it's nostalgic, like going
Yeah,
back and watching something like that, and it's like a little time capsule for 90s. And I vibed off of that. And this new one, I just felt like a cheap, watered down version of the
felt like
original.
today.
But huh?
It felt like today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like yeah, essentially. Um,
I think
but
that's probably
I
why
was
I'm leaning towards it because it's not like it's a direct sequel like a couple years later. It is made for this generation. So maybe that's why I'm easier on it. I don't know, but I didn't hate it. I just thought that, so maybe that's why
I'm,
I'm easier
yeah.
on it. I
I'm
don't
trying to.
know,
My bad,
but I didn't hate it. I
Brando.
just thought that, so
I'm trying to.
maybe that's why I'm
Oh
easier on
Lord,
it. And messing with it.
I'm sorry,
Totally
but I'm
lost my
trying
train of
to.
thought.
Yeah, my bad, brother. But I felt like I was gonna ask you this. Did you notice in the first one the Michael Myers mask?
Yeah. I even pointed out to Dawson. I
Yeah,
said, look,
I
that's what
thought
Michael.
I was like I was how did they get away with that? Like I wonder how. Who did they pay, or was it just someone who made like
I think
a
it was like
very very?
it was a very generic Michael Myers mask though, so they
But
probably could.
it kind of looked like Rob Zombie's Myers mask later on. If you think about it, it kind of looks like before it became all uh,
Yeah.
decayed. It looks like that mask.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
I did notice it and I
Oh
marked out
man,
for
I
it.
just
Like,
was. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Um, I can't hear you now. That's fine. I got a call and it destroyed my speakers, but that's fine. Uh, anyway,
Oh, we're live,
I'm
ladies
gonna
and
make it work.
gentlemen.
All right.
Oh man.
Jeez. Ugh. Anyway,
Only on
can
the
you hear
Mark
me?
That Movie podcast will this happen.
You can hear me fine though, right?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. So that's fine. Let me just Brandon, anything else you wanted to point out about the movie?
No, I don't guess. No. We'll just go ahead and give
You
our
keep on talking.
okay.
I'm trying to bring this back on.
Okay, well, I guess we didn't really discuss much of the original, not in great detail. One of the things I really liked about the original movie was, well, of course, the Sanderson sisters, but I actually liked the brother and his love interest and how he was bullied and how he got his shoes taken by these two bullies. I thought they did a good job of telling how kids really were back in the 90s. Um, with bullies. I mean, I thought that was missing in the new movie. How
Yeah.
cruel kids can be. So, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. You're right.
Oh,
I went ahead and just put it on speakerphone so I can hear you.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I agree, man. I think that the bullies, the first one, they didn't have bullies in this one. Maybe it's because now the times has changed, where bullying is not really accepted. Like it's not even
Yeah,
in the 80s and 90s, man. It was a different time. You think about it, like that was such a big. I didn't even think about it, Brandon. I'm glad you brought it up. That's such a big um, little subplot to a lot of movies. Like if you think about
yeah.
in the 80s, Never Ending Story, or maybe not Goonies, but yeah, Goonies as
Goonies even
well,
had a little
and
bullying going on.
Back to the Future, Teen Wolf. I'm pretty sure like there's so many other films, and then in the '90s, Sandlot they had bullies too. But you think about a lot of Mighty Ducks. One of the bullies ended up becoming a duck, but uh, the there's a big old plot of movies that there's a bully, but I think now socially it's not acceptable to have
No, I
bullies, and
mean,
so, huh?
yeah, it's not acceptable because people take their own lives today compared to back in when we were kids. Um, you know, I don't know if it's people are just worse. I imagine the world's worse, so I imagine the kids today are worse. I mean, my son even goes through some of it. So, and I'm like, I try to tell him you got to stick up for yourself because no one else is going to. You know, but I don't let him get discouraged to the point where he's that bad mentally. So, but
Yeah.
I can understand Disney for not doing it with how anti-bullying they're trying to be, especially everything that happens on social media. I mean, it's probably
Mhm.
at all time
Yeah.
high as far as
Yeah.
suicide and the reasons because they get
There's
bullied.
absolutely there's absolutely no place at all in the world for bullies at all. It's like bullying is not okay. And if you are listening to this podcast or watching the podcast and you are being bullied, um, man, talk and you feeling down or feeling some type of way mentally, talk to someone and
Yeah,
reach out to someone and let them know what you're going through. Don't don't let them, because guess what? Especially young kids that's going through school or whatever, those same bullies, man, one day gonna probably come to you and ask you for a job because you might be their boss. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like don't. And plus, what I know kids don't even think about because high school and middle school and all that seems like the end of the world, but there's a big world outside of those systems. So
yeah,
don't don't get defeated. Brandon's told me his story on bullying and getting bullied, and I've shared mine as well. But yeah, coming from people that's been bullied, don't don't let it discourage you or get you to a point where you think in a different way.
yeah,
Uh, Reach out to someone and communicate with them. Reach out to us. We don't mind. We don't mind talking to you about it. But yeah, so it's probably why they didn't have it in this film. They did mention the guys from the first one. I also noticed in the first one, I didn't realize that dude Max just kind of left him in there to hang. He just like
yeah, yeah.
I was like, that's crazy. I was like, wow, like
That's
you
what
could
people.
not do that these days. You
Yeah.
can't. There's no way a movie you can be like, all right, see you, like peace out.
I've actually thought that was funny, but yeah, I mean, in a real life situation, you can't do that. But I actually, and that's I'm glad I actually brought up the bullying because it's made me think of something else. Is the original characters that were missing? They didn't even get cameos. The bullies, the original three trio, the Max, his sister Danny, and Allison, right? They didn't bring anybody really back from the original movie except for
The
Doug Jones.
parents, anything
Yeah,
that would have been connective tissue. Like they claimed that the Gilbert, they claimed that he was there in the first movie. He witnessed it, which that's a all right. That's a way to kind of attach that. They did the same thing with Halloween, with Halloween Kills, with
Yeah,
the sheriff, which
but
it works. It
Hall-
worked for that one.
Halloween did it well,
Yeah,
with who was really there. But this Gilbert character just wasn't a very good character.
no,
And I'm
he's
not,
unnecessary.
he just wasn't a very good character, and I'm not blaming the actor. I really blame the shortcomings of this movie on the script. Like,
You
I
know,
feel that the big thing was, let's get the Sanderson sisters back and just let them have fun. That's how I
yeah,
would really say what this movie's really about. We get them back 29 years later, and they're just having fun. And there's not a lot going on in the movie. So I mean, as sad as it is to say, it's not. I gotta be honest with how I really felt about it. It's just not really a lot of meat to the movie. So, and then your friend Craig even said that, man, I don't always agree with his opinion on certain movies, but that one I do agree with 100% that there was no story, just them having
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I was going to mention. I'm glad you brought him up. That the characters didn't show up. The
yeah,
cameo. There was. I was thinking. I was looking and scouring the scene in the festival, the fall festival that they were having, pretty much.
mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, maybe they'll show up. Like, there was a great opportunity to have them show up, just like in the
Yeah,
audience, maybe just like eating uh, candy apples, or just they're
some
or like, oh, they're back, or something like that, like, or just to do this thing, like seeing the Sanderson sisters walking or going in town, and they're like, is that? Do you think that is? And they're like, no, and then just kept going, or something like that. Like that would have been really cool, but
it
no,
is
like,
it
and
is
then it's
shocking.
crazy. Thor is a pretty big actress now.
Yeah, but
I
he
would
had like
I would say she is.
shooting complications. She really couldn't do it. But I was shocked that the other characters couldn't have been brought back. Like the her brother, he does nothing. I'm sure he could have been
Yeah,
brought back.
and the
Now the other
Allison,
girl,
yeah,
I think
Allison.
she's somewhat big, right? Or maybe
Uh,
she's not. I'm not
in
sure.
the first one,
Yeah,
Allison. Let's see. Uh, Vanessa Shaw.
yeah, she
She
does. She
was in
does a few
310 to
things.
Yuma. She's in 310 to Yuma. Eyes Wide Shut. Hills Have Eyes. The remake.
Yeah, I know she is. I didn't realize that was her though.
Yeah, she hadn't
The
really been in anything. Looks like she was in Ray Donovan, that show. I hadn't really seen her. She hadn't really did much since look like 2007, 2008 or so. 2021, she's in a movie called Blazing World. So she could have really cameoed.
yeah,
I would have
so
loved it. I would have got popped for me, honestly. Um,
yeah, I don't
any of
understand
those
why.
kids.
Even if you couldn't get Thora, I don't understand why you couldn't have got the others or their parents. I know that one guy still works. The who played their dad, I know he still works. So it's just it's unfortunate, but it's how it goes
He was in
sometimes.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
I forgot that. Yeah, there's no reason why they. Oh, the dad, the dude that played the dad is dead. That's why they couldn't get
is he?
him. Died in 2005.
Wow,
Ooh,
I did.
suicide, man.
Wow,
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to hear that.
I thought he
Oh
was still
boy,
working.
I hate to hear that, my man. I really do.
Yeah, it's sad.
Was the
Sad.
mom, the mother, she is still living. She's still. I don't see her doing much. She showed up in she's in Goldberg. She plays like Joyce in Goldberg. So yeah, she's still working. Um, yeah, man. Yeah, they could have, but your point is still valid. They could have really reached out to them. I'm
Yeah,
glad to see Doug Jones, but it was it was unnecessary. I'm glad that he's Doug Jones. So Doug Jones. For those that don't know, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not fully familiar with Doug Jones, let me briefly tell you. Doug Jones is a uh, character actor. He plays a lot of people in makeup. So he played Abe on in the first was the first three was it three of them? Was he in all three? Um,
Anyway, Hellboy,
Hellboy. Was it just two? Was it two
just,
Hellboys with Ron Perlman?
just two. Then
Just
they
two.
remade it. They didn't want
Yeah.
to do it.
Okay. Yeah. He played Abe, and who was a great character. I
Yes,
want to
well,
say he did the makeup in Pan's Labyrinth. I might be wrong on that. Uh, Pan. I might be wrong on that. I might be wrong on that. But I know that he's also in most recently he's in Star Trek Discovery as a character in makeup as well. He's just
yeah.
so good at playing. He's in Shape of Water. Yeah, he plays Amphibian Man. Pan's Labyrinth. I was right. He's in Pan's Labyrinth. John dies at the end. What We Do in the Shadows. He played like older vampire. He's really just he plays these type of characters, but he's really really good. So I'm glad to see that he still works. Um, I just
I think he'll always have a place in horror, though. Just
yeah.
with his legacy of playing horror in horror films. Yeah, I want to say he was in the Bye Bye Man as the Bye Bye Man. I want to say, pretty
I've never
sure.
have I seen that movie? I don't know if I vaguely remember that movie. Um, well, we can go ahead and anything else you want to mention before we go ahead and
I think that's. I think that was
so
all.
versus
Well, they
like
did leave it open for a sequel, another sequel.
yeah with another Black Candle.
Yeah, I think that's tiring though. I think you're bringing them back the same way. You gotta figure out a new way to bring them back besides the candle.
Well, they showed the we didn't talk about this one lady. We didn't talk about
Oh, the witch.
the witch, the mother witch or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I felt she was
She
wasted.
yeah, it looks like we've seen the bird flying at the end of this one, so she's around. She would probably possibly show up in the next one, maybe as
Well,
being the big bad,
I'm sure
huh?
you're getting another one.
But
This
then I wonder if this is what they'll do. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there now, and if I'm right, Brandon, mark it right now on this day. The big bad would be that witch lady from the this beginning of this movie, and flying as a bird at the end of this one. She's going to come in town and try to try to kill the kids or do whatever. She's trying to whatever get all the power or something for some reason, and they're gonna have to bring back somehow the original Sanderson sisters to be the good guys to help defeat the bad witch.
I'm
That's
I'm
what's gonna
actually
happen,
I'm cool with
huh?
that. If that's what they do. I'm
Yeah,
cool
it's
with that.
cool.
That's what they do.
And then maybe in that one we can get Thor and we can get Max and Allison in that to come. Like if they did a third one and they did it that way, I'm down for it.
Yeah, yeah. Because you have a reason to do another one if that's the plot. Yeah, I'm all for that. I just felt there wasn't a reason to do this movie.
Yeah.
Although I did overall have a good time with it, it just there's a lot of pieces just didn't fit the puzzle, if you
Yeah.
will.
But versus mode. First of all, which movie wins the fight? One or two?
It's a no contest. The original movie won this fight.
All
No
right.
contest.
All right. I agree with you. The original movie wins the fight, hands down. It is the champion. Now, let's talk about where they stand on our records. The first one, for me, I give it. Now, I'm not a huge fan. I give it a 3.5 mark outside of 5. I thought that it was fun time. I thought that it was engaging, and I had fun with it. Is it something I'll watch again? Maybe if I want to show like grandchild or something. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, now That's my for the first one. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a really great time rewatching it. I thought it was a very solid family Halloween film, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a four markouts on the markout meter, 4 out of 5. So I had a really good time with it.
All right. On Hocus Pocus 2, 2022, for me on the markout meter, I give that movie a I give it a I give it a I give it a two. I give it a two. I hated to do it, but I just was more or less bored with it. Um, but I really enjoyed I really enjoyed seeing them, but it
Yeah.
wasn't enough to keep me engaged. So I give it a two.
For me, on Letterboxd, I gave it a 3. I thought what the Sanderson sisters brought to the movie was it kept me engaged throughout the whole film. Although at the end, I didn't care for the end. I didn't care for the end or the beginning, but getting them back, I was there for it. I had fun with them. I didn't mind the new trio, although that other girl was barely used. Uh, them being witches, so I didn't mind it. It wasn't great. It was serviceable.
Mhm.
I think that's what the movie is. It's serviceable, but I also feel that if you have no true connection to the movie. If you got a really strong connection with this movie, you probably gonna. I think most people would hate it. Honestly, if you've loved it since childhood, you're probably gonna hate it.
Mhm.
But for me, as a casual fan, I had a decent time. But that's mainly for the three sisters. So
Okay.
I was
All
glad to
right.
see him, but it was 20 years too late.
Yeah, I
I
agree. I agree. Um, so Brandon, can you tell the people what we're going to be watching next week?
Yes, and I'm so happy for it. We're gonna get a little She-Hulk.
She, yeah, it's finally the end of Marvel for us. Thank goodness. Um,
Aren't you
until
excited?
we until we do Wakanda Forever in November, which we'll make sure we carve out time for that maybe. But yeah, it's I'm glad that we come to the end. I'm sad that we ended with this versus Miss Marvel because I think Miss Marvel is a better show. Which I haven't seen this, but I'm just assuming that it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the word of mouth. Yeah.
but then Halloween Kills,
In
Halloween
in
ends the week after that, which I'm gonna spend, Brandon. That I guess it's the plan for me that uh Thursday, what is it? That Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think I gotta get into Halloween kills, and then leading up to Halloween ends. So I want to watch those in order to get ready for Halloween ends. So that's the plan for me that week.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch Halloween 2018, and I got Halloween Kills coming in on Sunday. So I hated to buy it because I did not like it, but that's what I want to watch. I'm gonna watch that probably next Wednesday because I won't have time. Well, when are we doing the next week's episode? Are we doing it next Thursday
Uh,
or next Friday?
oh, next week we can talk about this
Okay.
off the show. But yeah, we're gonna do it though. But Brandon, what do we want the people to do?
We would love for you to like, share, and subscribe to the Mark Out
That's
Movie
right.
Podcast page on Facebook and on YouTube. So,
Yeah. And if you listen to us somewhere, comment on our Facebook, our YouTube, Facebook channel, or whatever, and we'll love to engage with you. I respond to every message as of right now because we're not that big. So hey, I respond to you. but yeah, but we love to engage.
what he's saying. Once we get
Huh?
big, I ain't responding. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
no, I will. I'll still try to. But yeah, we love engaging with you. So check us out. Did you like this is for the audience. Let us know if you liked Hocus Pocus 2 or did you like the original Hocus Pocus? Were you never a fan? This is your first time seeing it. Um, let us know what you thought because we love to hear your thoughts. Are you excited for Halloween Ends or are you excited for Terrifier, which Brandon will probably see this week
I'm
because
waiting
he's a
to.
crazy man. He's a madman. He has 3 hours to carve out to watch a sociopath do brutal things on screen in theaters. Oh my goodness. Uh,
Yeah,
Brandon.
he's quite the character, though. I mean, I'm he's something
He
to
is.
witness. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's better than the first movie. I didn't love the first movie, but I
But you love
loved.
the character. You love the character.
Yeah, I loved him, and he just. I had never seen what he did in that first movie to that girl. I had never seen anything like that before.
Oh, that was
Uh,
the first and the last for me, man. Oh, from pooper to the stupor.
yeah,
He cut
so
her. Oh,
uh,
oh,
I honestly have never seen anything like that on film. So, I mean, not even Jason or Michael do anything like that. They have some compassion.
but but yeah. All right. Well, we thank you all for tuning in. Uh, we Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey,
Go ahead, Brandon.
and we are the Mark Out Movie Podcasters.
Thank you for marking out with us.